Welcome to Roll Credits, where movie and TV lovers get the trivia they didn't know they needed. This show was created with the help of AI tools, and while we work hard to keep it accurate and entertaining, the occasional glitch like a rogue Lumon file might slip through. Today, we're clocking back in for Season 2 of Severance, where the lines between work and self are blurrier than ever. Whether you're team innie or outie, we've got plenty of new secrets, theories, and hidden clues to explore. So, the anticipation for Severance Season 2, wow, it's been almost palpable, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's hard to believe it's been nearly 3 years since that Season 1 finale just left everyone hanging.
A long time.
And that, well, a lot of people know it was largely because of the 2023 strikes, wasn't it? The WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes really impacted the timeline.
Yeah, definitely tested everyone's patience, even the most dedicated Lumon employees, I guess you could say.
Yeah, probably.
You're totally right, though. That gap, it definitely created a huge amount of pressure, especially for Ben Stiller, the executive producer and director.
I bet. Season 1 was so acclaimed.
Exactly. He talked about feeling that pressure, needing to make Season 2 really worth the wait. And, something he observed, which I thought was really insightful.
What's that?
He said that even though Severance looks so pristine, almost, sterile.
Yeah.
All those white halls and minimalist offices.
Yeah, very distinct look.
It actually shares this kind of fundamental prison feel with his older show, Escape at Dannemora, which is much grittier, obviously.
A prison feel. That's interesting.
Yeah, he realized the characters in Severance, they're just as trapped, just as confined, even if their prison is this, perfectly designed office building.
That makes a lot of sense when you put it that way. And trapped is definitely how the MDR team felt after that Season 1 finale. Just maybe a quick refresher for everyone.
Good idea.
Mark S., Helly R., Irving B., and Dylan G. They managed to trigger the overtime contingency. So their innies, their work selves, woke up on the outside.
Right, in their outie lives. Big reveal time.
Huge. And Helly R., whose outie is actually Helena Egan, the CEO's daughter, she used that chance to basically expose Lumon's torture of innies at a huge company gala.
Yeah, total chaos, pure corporate meltdown. What a cliffhanger.
Obviously.
And Lumon's reaction in Season 2, well, it's a masterclass in corporate spin.
Yeah.
And just straight-up deception.
Okay. How so?
We see Milchick, right. Always loyal, always unsettling Milchick. He tries to spin it, telling the team they're now the face of severance reform.
After what Helly revealed.
Exactly. But here's where it gets really, really wild. Lumon actually doctors evidence to back this up. They give Mark a fake copy of the Kier Chronicle newspaper.
Okay.
The front page has this big photo of a ticker tape parade, supposedly for the MBR team. But get this, the photo itself, it's actually from President Eisenhower's visit to Rio de Janeiro back in 1960.
Wait, what? Eisenhower in Rio.
Yep. They just photoshopped the MDR team's faces onto it from a Season 1 picture.
That is next level manipulation. Not just editing a photo, but rewriting history.
Totally. And it makes you ask, right, why go to such insane lengths? Why lie that elaborately to these innies? I mean, they could just fire them, couldn't they? Or, I don't know, try to resever them.
Yeah, why keep them if they cause such a problem?
It suggests these four, even after everything, are just too valuable somehow. Maybe it's their actual macro data refining skills or maybe, family connections like Helly's. But faking history like that, it just shows Lumon's absolute need for control over everything their innies perceive.
It's chilling, using fake news as an internal control tool.
Yeah. It's not just punishment. It's trying to subtly re-brainwash them.
Wow. And, okay, thinking about the characters. What does this mean for Mark specifically? Because for him, things got incredibly personal.
Hugely personal. His innie, the Mark inside Lumon, now knows his wife Gemma, who he thought was dead, is actually Miss Casey, the wellness counselor down there.
Oh, my God. Right. That reveal.
Earth-shattering is an understatement. So now his innie is desperate, right? Desperate to find her, to figure this all out. That whole search for truth is now tied up with this incredible grief and longing. It adds this whole other really heart-wrenching layer.
You can just feel that internal battle trying to piece those two realities together.
Exactly. It really grounds the show,
Yeah.
Amidst all the weirdness, that emotional core is so strong. It's not just about getting out anymore. It's about finding this lost part of himself.
And speaking of adding layers, Season 2 really does expand the world of Lumon, doesn't it? Lots of new faces, some very strange new places.
Definitely.
We hear Olafur Dari Olafsson saying something super ominous, like Lumon's work will be remembered as one of the greatest moments of this planet.
Yeah, creepy.
And we get Olia Shawkat, Bob Balaban, Stefano Carnantes, new MDR people, shaking things up. Plus, Gwendolyn Christie and John Noble join the cast. Christie's in that revamped goat department, right?
That's right. And one of the most, let's say, interesting new characters is Miss Huang. She's the Severed Floor's new deputy manager, and she's a child.
A child manager? How does that even work?
Well, that's the thing. It's clearly a Lumon head game, as you might call it.
A head game.
Think about it. How do you really get angry at or openly defy a child manager? It's designed to completely disarm the innies, throw them off balance, even though she is management part of the system. It's this really weird, manipulative dynamic.
That's kind of genius in a really messed up Lumon way.
Totally. And a fun little behind-the-scenes fact. The actress, Sarah Bach, she was only about 15 or 16 when they were filming.
Wow, really?
Yeah, Adam Scott apparently joked that she didn't even recognize The Simpsons, which kind of highlights the age gap and just how unsettling her presence is for the older innies.
Huh. Okay, that adds another layer. And back to the goats. That revamped goat room. Still one of the biggest mysteries.
Oh, for sure.
And how they made it is pretty wild, too, right? They built this sort of indoor farm.
Get this. They actually put a huge tent over part of a public golf course. Marine Park Golf Course in Brooklyn.
No way!
Yeah, and then used a ton of CGI for the walls and ceiling to make it look like, well, whatever that place is.
That's incredible. Must have been strange to film there.
Apparently. The actor said that during really serious scenes, the actual goats they had on set would just constantly be nibbling on their pants and shoelaces.
Haha. Trying to stay in character while a goat eats your costume. Classic.
It sort of perfectly captures the show, right? That mix of the deeply serious and the utterly absurd.
It really does. And naturally, with Lumon expanding, the fan theories have just exploded, haven't they, about what Lumon actually does?
Oh, yeah. Big time. People are really digging into what MDR's real purpose is, beyond just sorting numbers.
What are some of the big ones?
Well, one compelling idea is that it's something about, like, cheating death, or maybe refining control over specific parts of the brain, possibly linked to those weird blue and green lights we saw in the Severance chip prototype way back.
So way beyond just making workers more efficient, more like playing with consciousness itself.
Exactly, taking it to a much bigger, maybe scarier place.
Yeah.
Then there's this really unsettling theory that Lumon has a kind of backlog of workers.
Backlog?
Yeah, like slave innies who don't have outies. They just exist inside Lumon forever.
Whoa. Is there anything backing that up?
Some people point to little details, like an older employee ID seen earlier for a character named Dario, suggesting some innies might just be perpetually there, serving Lumon's needs with no outside life at all.
That's dark.
It gets darker. The goats. Some theories connect them to feeding maybe Lumon-created children or other people kept in some kind of storage.
Okay, that's deeply unsettling.
Right. And then you have speculation about the board. Who are they? Are they even human? Maybe old Egans in some digital form? Or like a collective consciousness of dead people, tying into that whole living in perpetuity thing at Lumon.
It's like the more we learn, the weirder and bigger the mystery gets. These theories are wild, but they almost fit the vibe, you know?
They do. The show invites that kind of deep, dark speculation.
And while Lumon gets bigger, the personal stories are deepening too. We're seeing more of the other Audis, not just Mark. Like Helly R. and her Audi, Helena Egan. Their relationship is obviously super complicated, and there are hints of this bleed through, like shared trauma between the innie and Audi.
Yeah, the idea that the body remembers, even if the severed mind doesn't, which adds this whole other level of horror to what Helly's going through.
And Irving, his Audi's making these secret phone calls. Feels like it has to be about Bert, right? From O&D.
It certainly seems that way, suggesting that connection might exist on the outside too.
Oh.
And then there was that weird melon bar upgrade thing.
Oh, yeah. The watermelon carved with Irving's face. What was that about? Retirement party theories.
That's what fans are guessing. Something strange is definitely going on with Irving's Audi life.
And Dylan, too. Learning about his kid on the outside, that had to change him profoundly.
Oh, completely. It shattered that whole tough guy office rebel persona he'd built up. Now he knows what he's missing, what's real, makes him way more complex.
Definitely. And speaking of things changing, Rigavi is back.
Right. The ex-Lumon scientist. The one who figured out reintegration.
Her return feels huge, especially with Mark maybe being a candidate for reintegration. even though it didn't end well for Petey.
Not at all. It's incredibly risky. But there's this really interesting visual motif connected to it. Did you notice the light fixture?
Which one?
There's this shot. It looks kind of like elevators, and the light shines both up and down.
Yeah.
It feels really symbolic, like Mark's journey towards potentially merging his two selves, seeing the whole picture, the full truth. It's a visual hint that reintegration, dangerous as it is, might be the path to wholeness.
That's a great catch. The visual storytelling is so strong. And speaking of visuals, Season 2 took the innies outside.
The ORTBO, the outdoor retreat team building occurrence.
Yes. Seeing them trudge through that snowy landscape, it was such a contrast to Lumon's hallways. Where was that filmed?
That was up in New York's Hudson Valley, Minnewaska State Park Preserve, actually. And they had amazing frozen waterfall. That's a Woesting Falls. They called it Woe's Hollow in the show.
Woe's Hollow. Perfect. It looks stunning, but also really emphasized how lost and out of place they were.
Absolutely. A brilliant way to show their vulnerability outside that controlled lumen space. The production design just nailed that feeling.
And it's not just the locations, the overall look. The cinematography and editing in Season 2 are just incredible, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely stunning. It's such a beautifully crafted show, so unique looking.
There was that one shot, I think, in the first episode, that really long tracking shot of Mark running through the severed floor.
Yes. That was amazing. Apparently, it took weeks of planning and days just to shoot that one sequence.
Wow.
Yeah, shot at your studios in the Bronx. Think about the coordination needed: actors, camera, props, timing, all perfect for one continuous take. It just pulls you right in. It really does. Just masterful work.
And it's interesting, tying back to locations, Kier's house in the Perpetuity Wing.
Yeah, looks very grand.
That wasn't a set entirely. They used parts of the Glenview House, this amazing Gilded Age mansion from 1877, as part of the Hudson River Museum in Yonkers.
Huh. So they used a real historical place.
Yeah. Figured it would be too massive and expensive to build something like that from scratch. So they blended the real history with Lumon's creepy mythology. Adds this layer of, old, powerful money to the Egans.
That's clever. It's interesting hearing how fans reacted to Season 2 overall. Seems like opinions were a bit more divided this time.
Yeah, that happens with shows that take big swings. Some people felt the pacing was maybe slower, or that it raised too many questions without answers yet, maybe less of the specific Season 1 humor, more just weirdness.
Weirdness for weirdness' sake, some said.
Right. But then you have a lot of other fans who absolutely loved the intensity, loved how it kept them guessing, felt it was even more compelling as it went deeper into the lore. So it definitely got people talking, debating.
Which is usually the sign of a really interesting show.
Hopper.
And it makes this next little fact even more remarkable.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Get this. Severance is actually Ben Stiller's first TV show ever to get a second season.
Wait, seriously? With all his success, movie sequels, other TV stuff, this is the first one renewed.
Yep. Broke the streak. Which really makes you think, right, what was it about this show? What's the unique magic here that made it happen for such a seasoned pro?
That's amazing. It really does highlight how special and high-quality Severance is. It just hit differently.
It really did. Proves that sometimes taking a chance on a really bold, high-concept idea pays off big time.
And that's it for our deep dive into Severance Season 2. If you enjoyed peeling back the layers of Lumon with us, be sure to follow Roll Credits and share it with fellow fans. Until next time, stay curious, stay severed, and maybe don't trust the break room.